Hello everyone, and welcome to your Pick a Card TRL Tarot Reading Live. This week we're, letting people trickle in for the live reading on Instagram. If you're watching this later on YouTube, welcome. I will be doing a 3-card reading. We'll go through the options in just a bit. So if you didn't see the image on my Instagram feed to know which pile you're picking, don't worry, we'll talk about that in a second. And as we go through each pile, I'll be doing the 3 cards that were in the pile as well as additional readings with some more cards and a spread just to give a little general advice for the week. So the pick a card will be infused with your personal energy, and this is being done during the week of November 8th. 9th, but it is an anytime reading. So if you're finding this video on YouTube at any point, trust that you were drawn to it for a particular reason. And if you're watching this on the replay, there will be timestamps below for each pile. So once you know what your selection is, you can skip ahead if you want. But if you're watching this live, or if you're watching this and you want to watch all of the card readings, I trust that there is something in each pile that will be some sort of advice that you need. So this is going to be an evergreen reading, but it can apply to whatever it is that you were drawn to this card reading for. And to go through the options that we have some crystals to designate each one of the piles. So just so you can kind of mull it over, we're going to do pile number 1, has this little light blue crystal. Pile number 2 has this larger citrine. And pile number 3 has this green and gold flecked stone, which I used to know the name of and it escapes me right now. But whatever one of those you are drawn to, the baby blue stone, the larger citrine stone, or the, I think it's golden something, the golden stone, those are going to be your selections. So as we're getting ready to dive into those readings, I'm going to start by doing just a general reading for the collective. So if you're watching this at any given time, this is going to be just a little Total Betty Goddess reading to get us started. So the Total Betty Goddess deck, if you're not familiar, is a deck that I created. It is a 90s themed goddess deck. So we have our little composition themed backs, and each of the goddesses is played by a character from 90s pop culture. So it's a really great way to kind of just get to know the energy of the goddesses because you have a familiar reference point for each of them. Or if you're just a really big fan of the 90s like I am and you want to have a little reminiscing on your favorite 90s characters, it's a good deck to dive in for that as well. So as we shuffle this deck up, I'm just going to start infusing it, whatever energy we need to preside over this reading, whatever energy we need this week. It's been a big week here in America if you're watching this in the week that it was recorded. So lots of feelings, lots of celebration, lots of across the spectrum for some people. So it's a week that we're kind of reevaluating our perspective on things. So we'll see what kind of divine energy we have moving into the future to help us feel a little more stable. This is a good card for the reading that I gave for the Reiki crew this Sunday. So if you are following me on Instagram, I do distance Reiki every Sunday to a collective that's been just requested from my followers. So anyone that sends me a unicorn emoji, I know that they want distance Reiki on a weekly basis. And whenever that is sent my way, I put them on a big notes list in my notes app. And then every Sunday I open up that notes app and I send distance Reiki to all of those followers. And because of that, I get a general read on the collective because there's a growing number of people on this list and we all are kind of going through similar experiences as a collective. So I can kind of give a recap every Sunday as to what's going on. This week's recap was all about the liver. And I think that this is twofold. It's on the physical side of things, like just make sure you're taking care of your liver. Maybe start doing a little hot water and lemon in the morning. Start doing a little less sugar, maybe a little less alcohol if you've got a little carried away with the celebrations. And it's a good time to just kind of give that part of your body a little break and be aware of how you're feeling in that area. But more importantly, in Eastern medicine, the liver is where we are known to hold our anger. So the Furies are coming in combination with that liver cleansing energy to say that sometimes revenge isn't the best way to go about something. Sometimes we might be feeling sort of anger or frustrations or judgments to those around us. And as played by the First Wives Club, there is a message to that movie, if you've seen it, that is they want to get revenge on their husbands, and then by the end of things, they realize that what they actually want to do is they want to help people. They want to help solve the problem rather than to contribute to more negative energy by just doing revenge for revenge's sake. So as we're moving into this new time period, it's a good time to take a look at your judgments on yourself and others. And really ask yourself, how can I shift this perspective into a productive mindset? How can I think of how to solve the problem rather than just fight against? How can I contribute to a solution rather than fight against the problem? So that's the message that we're going for this week. And then we're going to dive into our individual piles. So again, if you're just joining this live, we have 3 selections. We have our little baby blue stone, pile number 1. We have our citrine stone for pile number 2. And we have our gold flecked abundance stone for pile number 3. So I'm going to dive into pile number 1. So the baby blue stone is going to be our first one. We're going to look at the oracle cards that are underneath it, and then I'm going to pull a few more cards on top of that. So for my pile number 1, folks, we have a past, present, and future energy. So our past energy coming in for pile number 1 is the purge cards. Let me turn this light down a little bit. So purge, this is from the Fuzzy Prism Oracle deck by Holly Simple. So this is saying that you've done a lot of the purging of negative emotions, of negative mindsets, of things that are no longer serving you in the past, in the recent past. So it's kind of saying like, hey, applaud yourself for that. Be really grateful for the fact that you've done the work to purge the negative energy from your life. The present energy that's coming in is the universe card. So the universe card is kind of giving you a little opportunity to hand things over to a higher power, whatever that means to you, to stop efforting quite as much. So the universe is just kind of a reminder that there are unseen forces at work that are there to kind of take some of the load off of your shoulders. So you've done so much work for yourself by purging that you might kind of feel a little depleted, and the universe is there to be like, hey, you deserve a little rest. Like if there's something on your to-do list that doesn't need to get done by you today, hand it over to the universe and see if the universe can do the work for you. Sometimes it just takes setting the intention that a problem will work itself out and seeing how that unfolds. So kind of play around with that energy a little bit, play around with the idea that you are releasing and surrendering some of your efforting. Let go of the effort and see how things work out without pushing so hard. So our third card for pile number 1, the future card, is awareness, which is, just a good card for all of us right now. So again, some of these card readings are evergreen. They can apply to everyone that's watching. And awareness is just saying like, hey, bring a little bit of awareness to how you and the outside world operates. And I think that this is a great progression because we're going from that purge where you're kind of feeling a little more exhausted after that effort. Right now you're taking rest, handing things over to the universe, finding a little bit of surrender, recognizing that some things don't have to take so much control in order to work themselves out. And then from that place of being restored, you can start to look around and bring an awareness to the areas that you do want to put in a little more effort, that you do want to have that twofold energy of asking for the universe to bring you help and also recognize what you can do on this physical plane. So for my card number 1, people, I'm going to pull just a couple more tarot cards for like an energy and advice on what's going on here. So further messages, further insights. Let's look into the present. So what is it that you need to be able to give over to the universe? Okay, so the card that came up first is the Lover's card. So for a lot of you watching, the thing that you're probably trying to control a little bit is your relationships, is your connection to those around you. And whether it be a relationship that's currently in the present or a relationship that you're trying to call in, there's a feeling of just like, let it go. Like, trust that you are going to encounter the divine souls that you are supposed to encounter if you just go about doing your daily life in a passionate way. So if you've been trying to date online and you're just sick of it and you don't like it, like, give it up. Don't do anything that doesn't feel joyful. That's always my general reading for everything, but especially when it comes to relationships and trying to call in relationships. There's a mindset that's out there right now that a lot of people feel that you have to do things digitally in this day and age, that you have to sort of update the way that you date because of the way that the world is, and especially right now because we are in more isolation and it's a little bit harder to meet people. But that universe card is coming in and saying, have faith that there are forces at work pulling the strings and that they have infinite possibilities available to them. So if you're trying to find a divine soul connection, and that could be in a love relationship, or it also could be in like a business partnership. You might be looking for your divine co-creator in a world that's not necessarily about love. It might be about finding someone that's just like a simpatico soul to move you forward in your career. But there is a definite divine energy to this connection. There's a feeling of two people coming together in a sense of a similar purpose in life. So that similar purpose with the Lovers is coming through. And again, the message here is the universe is taking care of it. Like, don't try to effort it. And the card that's coming in regards to some advice here is the Eight of Wands. So the Eight of Wands is about movement. It's about moving forward, not so much on your love impulses, but on all your other impulses. Because ultimately, if you're gonna find a divine lover's energy in your life, it's gonna be doing things that you love. Like, if you wanna find a simpatico soul that syncs up with the things that you enjoy, the best place to meet them is doing something that you already enjoy, and then you already know you have that in common. So this is just kind of saying, like, if you've been kind of really beating the drum of looking for that divine relationship, whether it be relationship love, relationship business, let it go for a while. Let it go and just set the intention to really do what you enjoy and be open to encountering other people through that. And, you know, it could be that, you know, you post something that you enjoy on Instagram and someone comments on it and that starts a dialogue. Like, there are so many different ways that this could unfold, and you don't have to figure out how it's going to unfold. So just kind of take a moment right now and take a deep breath and just be like, okay, universe, I want you to take care of this. Think of the universe as your personal assistant in regards to finding this lover's soul partnership, and just say, hey, I'm putting in my order. I'm going to go about my day. I've got other things to take care of. Please send this my way. So that is our pile number 1. Closing things out there, we'll move into pile number 2. So if you are just joining, pile number 2 is our citrine. So if you were drawn to that stone, we'll see what's unfolding for you there. Pile number 2, you've been doing the work intellectually. So your past reading, your past card from the Fuzzy Prism Oracle deck is progress. So you, I think, were ahead of the curve in regards to really making sure that there was momentum moving forward, whether it be politically, socially. There's definitely a feeling, or even on a personal level, personally progressing your energy into a place that you could then do the next card, which is the present card, and that is learn. So pile number 2 people, if you pick the citrine, you've been doing the progress. You've been progressing your own energy to this space that you've now opened enough energy up to be able to learn. So right now you're being called to just follow whatever divine impulses you have, follow whatever divine curiosities that you have, and learn what you can about that. And don't judge whatever it is your impulse is. So if you've been, thinking about painting, like take a painting class. If you've been thinking about learning about social activism, like educate yourself there, but like there's not a hierarchy here about what you're learning. Like ultimately whatever it is that you're drawn to is what you are supposed to be learning more about, and you never know where these impulses are going to take you. The universe works in a mysterious way where they'll send you a divine impulse that may seem like it's not about anything big, and then once you follow that thread far enough, it ends up being like your life purpose. So that's not to say that you have an urge to take a painting class and you're supposed to become a great artist. It could be that you have an urge to take a painting class, and through that you end up meeting someone that gives you this other opportunity to learn more about this other topic, and like it just continues to pile on top of each other. So again, don't try to think too far ahead. Just ask yourself, like, what am I curious about right now? What is it that I want to learn more about? And just dive in. My cat just knocked something off the wall. So that's what that was. And it also probably was a sign to pay even more attention to what I just said. Because sometimes when crazy things happen in the room, whenever a tarot card reading is happening, it's just trying to bring more attention to that message. So it's definitely a good time to learn about whatever it is that you're feeling called to do. And then the next step, the future card, is to teach. So it's so fitting that these came out in that sequence where you're coming from this place of progress, you're going into presently, into a place of learning, and then ultimately you're going to come around to the other side of things and you're going to be able to teach. And it could be that you're teaching what you learned, or it could be, again, like the thread could go in crazy different directions. But ultimately, your experience right now, in especially 2020, is about learning something new that is in some way going to influence how you can teach the world. So it's a pretty thorough reading, but we're going to pull a couple more cards from our Holly Simple Tarot is what we're using. So we're using 2 Holly Simple decks in addition to our Total Betty original card reading. And my pile number 2 people. Okay, pile number 2, there's a message of the Ten of Swords, which is saying that there might be something in your life that you're leaving behind. So I almost want to say that this learning that you're going through in the present moment is about learning something that's going to bridge you from one stage of your life to the next. So maybe it's that your current career doesn't feel like it's authentic anymore and you're looking for someplace else to go, and that impulse to learn something again is going to lead you to that. Or it could be that you've just reached the end of your rope in the way that you are dealing with things or seeing the world, and that impulse to learn is bridging you into this next state of being. And then the advice card that's coming in is the Father of Cups, which tells me that especially if your impulse to learn is something creative, it's a go, it's a green light. So don't downplay or disregard things that don't feel like they're leading in like a productive direction right now. Again, if you want to learn to paint, learn to paint. If you want to learn, I can't even think of something that would be like totally random. Like if you want to learn how to play the jaw harp, play the jaw harp. And like it doesn't have to make sense where it's going to go. It's going to unlock something within you that takes you to another place, that takes you to the next stage of your journey. Because right now, something is over, something is done, and you're starting to feel that. And that's why you're craving this feeling to learn something new, because when we are closing out a chapter in our life, everything starts to feel stale. And so you are at that point, if you are card number 2, pile number 2 people, that you are ready to bridge that gap, and learning something new is what's going to get you there. So again, just follow the impulse. If it's creative, all the better, and see where it takes you. And ultimately, when you come to a point where you feel like you know something new and you have the opportunity to teach, that is the ultimate message there. Okay, so that was pile number 2, our little citrine people. Pile number 3, which was a popular one today. We're gonna move into that one, and that is our little gold flecked dark green stone. Again, I can't believe I can't remember what this is. It's gold something. I just can't think of what it's called. I want to say golden seal, but that's an herb. So we're going to go into that pile next. So pile number 3, we have our 3 oracle cards from the Fuzzy Prism Oracle. Whew. Pile number 3, you've got some stuff you've been working on internally. So our first card, our past card, is through. So you've been going through it. Pile number 3, people, if you are drawn to this darker stone, it's a sign that you've been going through some stuff, some real just through the muck, crying it out. But it's good. It's, I keep getting the image of you're going through, what is it called? The swamp of sorrows in Neverending Story. There's this feeling of you've been trudging through this sticky terrain, and you feel like you're never going to make it to the other side. But the good news is you're on your way there. And the key to getting completely out of the sticky swamp is in your present with meditation. So, if you watch these readings, you know that I'm a big fan of meditation. I recommend it even when a card for it doesn't pop up. I can't stress enough that there's no wrong way to meditate. So I know it can be really overwhelming and really confusing if you've never meditated before, if you're unfamiliar with it, or if you've only tried a certain technique that didn't feel like it was authentic to you. Meditation is simply giving yourself stillness and space without distractions to let your thoughts play out a little bit. And for some people, the best way to do that is to, listen to a guided meditation, because then their thoughts are focused on the guided meditation and they're not, being too distracted by anything else. For some people, it's to sit and just listen to music. For me, sometimes literally my meditation is sitting in my comfortable armchair, no music playing, no TV on, no social media, and just staring around the room. Because it's so rare that we do that. That doesn't happen, that we don't have some sort of stimulus. So sometimes in this day and age, your meditation can be getting rid of the stimulus, laying on the floor staring at the ceiling. That might be what you need to have the space for the clarity to come through and for you to get through the muck of it. And it's okay if meditation feels like you want to cry. It's okay if meditation feels like you are really antsy. It's whatever comes up in meditation is what was supposed to come up, and it's what you needed to look at. So be okay with that. Find the techniques that work for you. Again, sometimes maybe it's music, sometimes it's quiet. Breath is really important, focusing on your breathing in no particular way, just knowing that you are breathing, but know that if you breathe deeper down into your belly, that's gonna help to calm your nervous system. So if you're one of the people that sits down to meditate and gets a little antsy, that deep belly breath is really gonna help with that. And I'm a big fan of the body scan. That's my go-to meditation for almost anything. Even if I'm listening to a guided meditation, I'll add in my own body scan. Just mentally scan down from your head to your toes, and one body part at a time, see if there's something there that you can let go of, some tension you can release. And it's just about bringing awareness into the present moment. That's all meditation is. It's being aware of the now. So however you can be aware of the now, that's your present task for my pile number 3 people. Your future, after that beautiful meditation practice, is gratitude. So that makes total sense that your arc is going through the muck, finding meditation, creating stillness, being present in the moment, and then finding gratitude for all that is, because that tends to be a side effect of meditating. So for pile number 3 people, I recommend that you try to meditate every day. And if you can do it twice a day, even better. 5 minutes minimum, an hour if it calls out to you. My favorite sweet spot is 20 minutes in the morning, 20 minutes at night. So whatever you need to do that. I have some meditation tracks on my website, so if you're interested in guided meditations, you can always check those out. I have a chakra album. I have some cord cutting, some heart-centered meditations. Those are always available. My Patreon $11 tier members have access to all of those, well, not the chakra meditations, but they have access to all of the other meditations already. So if you wanted to, get a lot of meditations at your access at once, you can join that level, scroll back the months, and find those on the previous posts. Also, for my Patreon, if you like these pick a card readings, every week I give, for the lowest $3 members, I give 3 card readings. And if you're $11 member, you get access to those as well. So if you like the weekly, if you want a reading like this on a weekly basis, feel free to look into that as well. And reach out. Like if you're struggling with this meditation, it's my favorite thing to talk about, and it's a really hard topic to kind of give a broad stroke and hit what everyone's issues are. So feel free to direct message me or comment and say like, hey, X, Y, and Z is my problem with meditation. How do I fix this? And I'll try my best to give you some solutions. In regards to that, little extra info for pile number 3 people. We'll do our tarot cards one more time. I'm also going to start doing these video readings on a bi-weekly, maybe weekly basis for my higher level Patreon members. So if you like your readings via video, know that those will be coming as well. Okay, got a little jumper here. So energy advice. Okay, so beautiful. So for pile number 3, you went through it in the past. Your goal now is that meditation, that present moment. You're going to move into gratitude soon, and that's what this card reflects. The energy here is really moving into 9 of Cups, which is blessings abound. It's the idea that you may not have 10 cups, which is like the goal that everyone has, but you have 9, and 9 is definitely nothing to sneeze at. And so it's kind of just a feeling of being able to look around and be like, oh, this is really amazing, this life that I've created for myself. So maybe for some of you, that turning off all the stimulus and just looking around the room, staring at the ceiling or whatever, is going to be really good to tap into that energy. If you can, I always like to tell people when it comes to, this isn't an abundance reading, but when it comes to abundance, I always say, look around your life, your home, from the perspective of your 13-year-old self. Because I know my 13-year-old self is really happy that I live in a city and I have, furniture that I love and I decorate the way that I want, and like all of those little things that we kind of just forget about how exciting that is. That's kind of what the 9 of Cups energy is. It's like, hey, not only can you be grateful for like the big things, but like be grateful for just the little things that come about because you've grown into the person that you've grown into. And then the advice card is the 3 of Wands, which is the perfect thing to come from that meditation and gratitude practice. It's the manifestation card. It's the card of getting really clear of what it is you're drawing into your life next. But in order to get to that energy, you really have to have that clear slate. So that meditation practice is vital. I think I might join you guys. I've been doing at least a once daily meditation, but I think I'm going to start. Fall is around the time I start doing this. I don't know if it's like the change in weather or whatever, but almost every year, like October, November, I get the impulse to be like 20 minutes in the morning, 20 minutes at night before I go to bed. So I will probably be joining you in on that practice if you decide to do that. But again, even just 5 minutes once a day is great. Just try to make it a daily thing. Squeeze it in where you can, even if it's just like as you're laying down to bed, you do that body scan, or you listen to calm music, or you stare at the ceiling with the intention of sort of calming your mind. That's what's coming through here. Is there's going to be so much power in your stillness and in the information that comes through in that stillness. And you've already done so much work by going through the sticky swamp. You deserve a little mental break, and that's what meditation is there for you. So again, if you have any questions over your own meditation practice, feel free to comment, message me, do whatever you want. If you enjoyed this reading, several ways to show your appreciation and make sure that these bi-weekly lives keep going. You can join my Patreon and get those weekly readings, the 3 card draws that I mentioned. Again, lowest tier is $3. Not that big a deal, $3 a month. You can send me a donation via Venmo at Michelle Shea, just like my Instagram handle. And in my bio, I have like the 4 digits that you might need to send a new person your donation. And final thing is, if money is not something that you can contribute at this time, word of mouth is vital. So if you can share this video, if you can share information about the next live reading, if you can just tell a friend about whatever you enjoyed about this reading or about my services that I provide, that's beautiful, beautiful, beautiful way to help support this. And again, we come back to that Total Betty Furies energy for all of us, which is to not focus on the problem, but instead work towards a solution. And the Total Betty Goddess deck is for sale over at michelleshayWalker.com, as well as the Coloring Total Betty Guidebook. So if you are looking for that artistic expression, maybe that's what you reach out for. I hope that these readings serve you well. If you are watching this on YouTube, feel free to subscribe. If you're watching this on Instagram and you don't already follow, feel free to follow along. And I hope to see you again. Again, these readings happen on a bi-weekly basis, so it'll be in another 2 weeks before the live, but I'm working on some video content for my Patreon members if you choose to join in on that community. Thank you guys for being here, and have a lovely evening.